on Channel 2 News.
From ABC News, this is World News Sunday. Tonight, reporting from Moscow, here's Diane Sawyer.
Good evening from Red Square in Moscow. The war in the Gulf continued without pause today as the Allies pounded Iraqi army positions and new skirmishes broke out along the Kuwait-Saudi border. Even so, the eyes of the world have turned here toward Moscow tonight. The Iraqi foreign minister is here for a talk tomorrow with the Soviet president. And those talks between Tariq Aziz and Mikhail Gorbachev could be the best, if not final, hope for avoiding a costly ground war in the Gulf. A ground war some of the Allies clearly believe is imminent. We begin with ABC's Moscow bureau chief, Jim Laurie.
The Soviet Foreign Minister Alexander Besmertnik was on hand to meet Tariq Aziz for a visit seen here as a last chance to explore just how serious Iraq is about wanting peace. Moscow will seek clarification of the conditions Iraq has placed on its withdrawal from Kuwait, looking for a further softening of the Iraqi line. The last time Tariq Aziz was here, President Gorbachev warned him if Baghdad did not back down, the UN Security Council would authorize the use of force. This time he'll tell him a Kuwaiti withdrawal must begin without conditions. Moscow's Baghdad envoy, Yevgeny Primakov, today called attention to the Iraqi UN ambassador's view that Baghdad is not insisting on preconditions, merely talking points. Urging flexibility on both sides, Primakov sees the Iraqis as wanting to begin a peace process.
I do believe that they could make some steps forward. But, of course, another side should do the same.
Moscow has good reasons for wanting a settlement. With a large Islamic population of some 50 million in the Soviet Union, President Gorbachev wants to show sensitivity. He's already voiced concern about the extent of Iraqi civilian casualties. The Soviets feel they're best placed to broker a deal because of 20 years of friendly relations as Iraq's main arms supplier. And the Soviet military and communist hardliners have criticized Gorbachev for getting too close to Washington. They have urged urgent measures to end the war.
Has it really been necessary to destroy so many people? Some other ways and means could have been used.
And even if tomorrow's meeting gets nowhere, the Soviets will at least be seen in the Arab world as an honest broker. It will help make them a player in the Middle East when the war is finally over. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Moscow.
Whatever the expectations about the talks here in Moscow, the momentum within the Bush administration is still clearly heading toward a ground war. A ground war that would not only push Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, but force him to comply with all of the UN resolutions on the conflict. The president and his men were out today in force to explain just what that means. Here's ABC's Ann Compton.
President Bush is not sure what Tariq Aziz has up his sleeve for the meeting in Moscow. But during a weekend break here in Kennebunkport, Maine, Mr. Bush said he is sure Moscow will insist on a total Iraqi withdrawal from Kuwait.
President Gorbachev, who's been in touch with me about this, is trying very hard to seek an end to this conflict. But he knows very well that the objectives spelled out by the United Nations, and the Soviet Union was an important part of this, must be met in their entirety.
Secretary of State Baker said in Washington, Moscow was told within the last 2 days that talk must lead to action.
As long as there are no suggestions of a pause or a ceasefire or something that would permit Iraq to reposition, to dig in further, which could, of course, result in higher casualties for the coalition forces.
The uproar over civilian casualties in Iraq followed President Bush right into church today.
Stop! Let's bomb!
A Massachusetts man was dragged away after disrupting the service with shouts about the aerial bombing of Baghdad. President Bush responded later that he worries about the civilian deaths reported in occupied Kuwait.
Some 200 young people, 15 to 20, boys and girls, the bodies mutilated, and all of them killed. So we mourn for the innocents, and I hope that we can get an end to that suffering very, very soon. I think we will.
The president's note of urgency fits in with signs that a ground war could start soon. The French foreign minister said today the coalition leaders have even set a date, and President Bush did not deny it. It appears that only a major concession by Tariq Aziz could now put a ground war on hold. Ann Compton, ABC News, Kennebunkport.
By the way, there was another voice heard here in Moscow today, that of a man who was probably the Soviet official the Bush administration once trusted the most. Edward Shevardnadze, the former foreign minister who resigned last December with a searing declaration about his fear of dictatorship here. It was Shevardnadze who helped the Bush administration get the UN resolution on the Gulf and form the coalition. Well, today, in his first Western interview since the resignation, he told us that there is real hope here in Moscow, that Tariq Aziz is bringing a proposal of substance. But he added that Americans shouldn't be so worried that the Soviets are setting out on their own. He said the Soviets are in lockstep with the U.S. on the outcome. It must be unconditional withdrawal from Kuwait. He also said he feels the war will be over in 4 to 6 weeks. In the interview, which will appear on Primetime Live, Shevardnadze will talk more about his cry from the heart about dictatorship here and tell who he thinks Mikhail Gorbachev really is. And now, Carol Simpson is in Washington with more from the Persian Gulf and the rest of the day's news. Carol.
Thank you, Diane. Another key player in the Gulf crisis, Turkey's President Turgut Özal granted an interview to ABC News today. He told ABC's Sylvia Chase that he expects a ground war to begin in the coming week. Özal dismissed Iraq's peace proposal as, quote, not enough. And he said Saddam Hussein must be removed from power for the good of the region and for the good of the Iraqi people. Despite the new flurry of diplomacy and the speculation about a ground campaign, it was business as usual for the military forces in the Gulf today. The big news was an embarrassing admission by Britain's Royal Air Force. We have two reports, beginning with ABC's Barry Seraphin.
Almost every day of the war, Allied military officials have shown videotape of pinpoint bombing. But today, British Group Captain Niall Irving showed pictures of a bomb that went astray. It happened during an attack on a bridge in an Iraqi town called Fallujah. Some of the bombs hit their target, but 2 went in the water and 1 hit the shore.
There's smoke on the right-hand bottom side of the screen there. There is a pall of smoke, and that is in a populated area there, and that is Fallujah.
It was, said Irving, not human error, but a technical problem.
It's an extremely unusual event, and the bomb, for whatever reason, veered off.
Iraq said the bombing was on Thursday and that 130 civilians were killed. Irving said the attack was on Wednesday and that he had no evidence of casualties. There was more bad news today. 2 more Americans killed by friendly fire. 1 or more missiles mistakenly fired by an American Apache helicopter hit 2 U.S. armored personnel carriers. 10 U.S. soldiers have now been killed by friendly fire. Only 4 by enemy fire. Today's incident came during one of 7 separate border engagements in which Iraq lost 3 tanks, other armored vehicles, a rocket launcher, and more. In an unusual twist, 20 Iraqi soldiers surrendered, not to ground troops, but to U.S. helicopters hovering overhead. Speculation continued about a full-scale ground offensive coming soon, but U.S. officials insisted no date has been chosen.
I don't know the date, and I'm not sure. I don't think there is a date.
GIs continue to speculate, too. Many are stocking up on food, cigarettes, and other items in local stores in northern Saudi Arabia for what they believe is coming.
My assumption is, since he said it was our last time we could leave and go into town and make phone calls, I think it's pretty much ground war is going to start for too long.
Supply convoys are still rolling, but most Allied units are now in place, waiting for the guessing to stop and the ground offensive to begin. Barry Seraphin, ABC News in northern Saudi Arabia.
This is Jim Hickey in Saudi Arabia, where this weekend the forces of nature assaulted the forces of man. North winds, al-shamal in Arabic, whip up sandstorms in an instant, making it difficult, if not impossible, to see the enemy. The howling shamal, especially strong from now through next month, blows up to 50 miles an hour, creating whirling clouds so thick that a man, 2 men, simply disappear. Helicopter pilots call it a brownout. They can't see well to navigate or separate friend from foe. That means casualties from friendly fire become a bigger danger. As fine as talcum powder, the sand gets into everything, into knapsacks, into rifles, into eyes. American commanders expect the weather to improve in a day or so in time for a ground offensive. Prolonged sandstorms, which can strip the paint off cars, could slow the war down. But commanders say the weather has been taken into account. That is little comfort to these soldiers of the 101st Airborne Division who are trying to cope with the Shamal. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Saudi Arabia.
Coming up, ABC's Bill Blakemore in Iraq. And later in this broadcast, some brave warriors who come from the right place, protected by the power of good medicine.
World News Sunday, brought to you by Oldsmobile.
Seems to me a new car warranty should cover the entire car for many miles. Now take Ford Taurus. Its basic warranty ends at just 12,000 miles. But the basic warranty on the new Cutlass Supreme goes a bit farther.
Like from New York to LA, back to New York to LA, to New York to LA, to New York to LA, New York to LA, to New York to LA, to New York. Plus a trip to Anchorage, Alaska.
Cutlass Supreme with its bumper-to-bumper plus warranty. Here's one car that does it all and does it right. Hey, Dad.
This is the new generation of Olds.
I'll never get through tomorrow if I don't get some Z's.
Introducing single-dose maximum strength Nitol. Just one will help you fall fast asleep fast. New maximum strength Nitol. Just one Nitol will help you get a lot of Z's.
Save some big ones right now at Sears. This Craftsman half-horsepower garage door opener is on sale for just $158, and the Zenith 19-inch TV is only $277. Sears President's Day sale. Better hurry.
From inside Iraq today, more pictures of damage to civilian areas, allegedly the result of Allied aerial bombardment. And even though Iraq is trying to present a picture of unthinkable destruction to the rest of the world, it's now trying to convince the Iraqi people that victory is theirs. ABC's Bill Blakemore filed this report, which was cleared by Iraqi censors in Baghdad.
On one hand, there were air raid sirens again over Baghdad tonight, reminding residents here that the war's not over yet. On the other hand, newspaper headlines here following Iraq's pull-out proposal are telling Iraqis that they have already achieved victory in this war just by holding out for a month against all the coalition forces. These headlines about having already achieved victory could help pave the way in Iraqi public opinion for a pullout from Kuwait, especially since Iraq announced this pullout plan first. President Saddam Hussein appears to have taken the initiative for this plan, something which could help keep Iraqi dignity intact in any ceasefire based on a pullout. Iraqis have plenty of reason to welcome a ceasefire. In the southern Iraqi town of Samawa today, journalists saw bomb damage to some houses and to several bridges across the Euphrates River. This man described how they were bombed last Sunday afternoon, killing his son and many others who were on a crowded pedestrian bridge.
From the first bomb, many people's dead, many people's wounded and fell on the bridge. But in the second bomb, in the middle, all the wounded fall in the river and go.
Baghdad's mayor has already taken journalists on a tour of his city to see water supplies back at a primitive level. People chopping trees, which used to carry a stiff punishment, for cooking fuel.
No water, no sanitation. The sewerage is disrupted, and it is flooding complete areas of Baghdad. No electricity, and therefore no basic facilities, no heating, no cooling, no refrigeration.
The horse and cart is now allowed back in the city again, since there's no gas for private cars. Some of the reasons Iraqis would be delighted to have these air raid sirens in the dark end, if the visit of their foreign minister to Moscow can somehow produce a ceasefire which would leave the dignity of the Iraqi people intact. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, Baghdad.
When we come back, America's ultimate war goal, neutralizing the Iraqi war machine.
Smells good.
Like a Carolina pine forest. That's Lysol Pine Action. I cleaned this morning. It disinfects and works fast. But the scent lasts for hours.
It's nice, but how to get a pine forest in there?
Lysol Pine Action. The clean of pine every time.
Mice. For everyone you see, there may be 15 or 20 that you don't see, and they eat in many different places. A very unhealthy situation. But put Beacon Mouseproof in the places mice feed, like behind the refrigerator, the cupboard, the sink, and you'll eliminate them faster. Beacon Mouseproof gets mice right where they live.
Oh, what people do to clean tough stains from under the rim. 'Cause for some bowl cleaners, that's a tough reach. But not for Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. Its angle neck easily goes under the rim to wipe out tough stains and germs. So look, all you need is Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner, the heavyweight with a powerful new angle on cleaning.
Did you know if you're not using the AT&T network, your company waits over 40% longer for long-distance calls to connect?
I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour when there's no one else around. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour.
Without AT&T, in 1 year you may end up paying people thousands of dollars to wait.
I'm gonna wait till the
Faster connections, another AT&T advantage.
A cup of that coffee, please.
You know, it's going to be a nice day for the parade.
You know, even the coffee tasted somehow better back then. I guess that's why those Maxwell House folks slow roast their 1892 coffee. Didn't even change the way they used to make it. Introducing Maxwell House 1892 coffee, made with old-fashioned pride, the way things used to be.
Newsweek magazine reports that Allied planes were trying to hit members of Iraq's ruling elite when they bombed a Baghdad bunker last week. Iraq claims hundreds of civilians were killed. Newsweek says the bunker attack was aimed at Saddam Hussein's inner circle and military high command and was an effort to persuade them that unless they act to stop Saddam, they are personally at risk. The U.S. has always denied that Saddam himself is a military target. American officials have been careful, in public at least, to limit their war goals to those spelled out by United Nations resolutions. Privately, however, they admit their goals go much further, as ABC's Bob Zelnick reports.
In publicly defining U.S. war aims, the administration maintained again today that by far the most important involves implementing the Security Council call for Iraq to leave Kuwait.
I would argue that our objectives are clear-cut. It's to force him out of Kuwait.
But in the next breath, officials indicate they feel there is danger in peace without victory over Saddam Hussein.
It would compound the tragedy to end it incompletely and leave this man free to engage again, to rebuild his forces, to engage again in the kind of aggression which he has obviously been planning now for some years.
Privately, administration officials acknowledge that neutralizing Iraq as a post-war military threat has been part of the U.S. agenda all along. It's why Iraq's capability to produce weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, chemical, and biological, were made priority targets. It's also why President Bush seems anxious to get the ground campaign underway. For while Iraqi forces can be weakened by airstrikes, only the ground war provides the U.S. with the opportunity to destroy most of Iraq's best forces while still acting under the authority of the UN. As one senior administration official told ABC News, we would hope in the process of retaking Kuwait to reduce or eliminate Iraq's ability to conduct offensive operations. Some officials suggest that even if Iraq is willing to withdraw unconditionally from Kuwait, the administration may demand a timetable so rapid as to require them to leave tanks and other heavy equipment behind. Sources here say the administration is dealing confidently because its own estimates, as well as those of commanders in the field, suggest a ground campaign to crush Iraqi forces and retake Kuwait could be accomplished within 3 to 4 weeks. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
When we return, Britain's breakthrough in detecting Alzheimer's disease.
What can a Pitney Bowes mailing system do about rising postal rates? Watch this. seen enough.
Sears is the place to run to, because right now, all athletic shoes for men, women, and kids are 20% off. Reebok, Converse, Etonic, Adidas, LA Gear, and more. All 20% off. Sears President's Day sale. Step on it.
Well, it used to be where I'd spend this big chunk of my time running at half speed. Irregular. Well, I get this feeling right down here. Sort of sluggish, low energy. I didn't feel like working. And that's a problem when you're the new guy on the job. So then one day, my wife gives me this glass. And she says, here, have some Metamucil. I said, what? A laxative? She says, fiber. You're not getting enough of it. Metamucil is a natural fiber. It's not some harsh chemical laxative. It's safe and gentle enough to take every day. So when your system needs the extra fiber to keep running at full speed, when you're the new guy on the job, it's the only speed there is.
Natural fiber Metamucil. It can make a daily difference in how you feel.
I go to LensCrafters because with my job, glasses in an hour are not just a convenience, they're a must.
LensCrafters puts the whole lab right in the store to custom craft your top quality glasses in about an hour. Call LensCrafters at 1-800-522-LENS.
Because of high cholesterol, 1 out of 4 adults is gambling with heart disease. You can leave it to chance or do something about it with a diet including Fleischmann's margarine. 0 cholesterol, low saturated fat. Fleischmann's, because your heart is in your hands.
Prime time, behind the scenes in the Gulf War. When news really matters. Diane Sawyer, Sam Donaldson. Prime time, Thursday.
In Santiago, Chile, a U.S. Marine was injured last night when a rocket fired from the street smashed into a car parked in front of the residence of the U.S. Embassy security staff. The Marine was hit by flying glass. No one claimed responsibility for the rocket attack. Colombian drug traffickers are claiming responsibility for the car bombing in Medellin, which yesterday killed 22 people and wounded 140. The bomb exploded near a bullfighting ring as thousands of people were leaving the arena. It was one of the worst attacks since the government declared war on the cocaine cartel a year and a half ago. British researchers are claiming an important breakthrough this weekend that could speed the search for treatment of Alzheimer's disease, the widespread and as yet incurable brain disorder. ABC's John Lawrence reports on how medical researchers in London found the cause of an inherited form of Alzheimer's.
British researchers discovered that a defective gene is the cause of Alzheimer's disease in some families, and that it can be inherited by the children of its victims.
It's been known for many years, in fact, that there is a genetic predisposition, but now we've actually identified the gene and the mutation in that gene, which gives rise to Alzheimer's disease.
The mutant gene causes the body to produce a kind of protein that destroys brain cells, leading to the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. In some families, individuals can now be tested for the defective gene.
It's possible now to do a pre-symptomatic test. In other words, it's possible to say which individuals will go on and develop the disease.
The family of British schoolteacher Carol Jennings led researchers to the discovery. Her father and 3 other family members were found to have both the mutant gene and Alzheimer's disease. Carol and her children can be tested and told if they're going to get it, but she won't take the test.
There is no cure as such yet, so I think really, why no? I'm quite happy knowing I have this 50-50 chance, living every day to the fullest. If I want to do something, I'm going to go for it.
Alzheimer's disease is the 4th largest cause of death in the United States. The British breakthrough does not promise an early cure, but it does represent a major step toward discovery of an effective treatment. John Lawrence, ABC News, London.
And we'll be back with a final report in just a moment.
Stress headache pains like a rope around my skull. So I take Anacin. It's got the strength to tackle the pain fast.
Anacin or aspirin-free Anacin 3. Strong pain relief for today's stress headaches.
How fast does Dristan nasal spray start working to clear up congestion?
Hey, I didn't expect it to start to work this fast.
Dristan nasal spray starts to work in seconds.
Take a look around me. at a place like none on land. Sail away now, you'll find me. The world's in my command.
Of all the resorts in the world, one takes you to the great places of the world. Royal Caribbean, the grand resorts of the 7 seas. Isn't it time you discovered them?
I'm Charles Gibson.
And I'm Joan London.
Watch Good Morning America for continuing coverage of Operation Desert Storm.
With full reports from ABC News, join us here on Good Morning America.
Finally tonight, a look at a unique support system for a special group of warriors who are engaged in battle in the Persian Gulf. As ABC's Charles Murphy reports, they come from a proud people with a proud tradition and a time-honored way of protecting their own.
This is Crow Country on the Bighorn and Little Bighorn rivers in Montana. The 8,000 Crows who live on or near this reservation adopted white man's ways a long time ago, but old beliefs survive. This is an old song in praise of warriors, 61 men and women serving in the U.S. military.
Over 1,000 warriors from this tribe have served in the U.S. military since the Spanish-American War, and only 3 have died in combat. Why so few? The tribe says because they were protected by good medicine.
I think it is the belief in the Great Spirit. I believe it's the will to live through the will of the Great Spirit, that they will go and they will return safely to their homes.
He accepts tobacco and other offerings in the Sweat Lodge. This is a purification ceremony where prayers are said for warriors. Mickey Old Coyote was a warrior in Korea. His grandfather a scout for the 7th Cavalry. His son fires Tomahawk missiles from a destroyer in the Gulf.
Each family has sacred objects that are passed on to them from their forefathers. And these are all part of that system that we rely on in regards to that whole works of nature.
Leon Stewart, a Marine in the desert, knows his clan is praying for him.
We did had a feast for him, and we asked his clan uncles to pray for him.
They barbecued a buffalo for a feast. Then they danced and prayed for their warriors in the desert to come back home safely. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Crow Agency, Montana.
ABC News will continue to monitor the Gulf War 24 hours a day, bringing you news updates every hour and special coverage as events warrant. That's our report for tonight. I'm Carol Simpson for Diane Sawyer in Moscow and all of us at ABC News. Good night.
From Moscow and Washington, this has been World News Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Vanessa Redgrave.